Won't know what we'll do. It says we're live. Can you find too?
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's going from the laptop audio or from this audio. Hey, I like that. I know.
You've done it just since on?
Wow. What's the YouTube?
All right, where's Kyle?
I can hear everything and see everything.
Perfect, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
You hear that?
But it's almost
They're just taking that. They're just taking that. Just coming from the computer.
Alright guys, sorry, we're having technical difficulties, but we are live. Give us like
What's
3
coming from the
minutes,
computer?
4 minutes, and we will start the show soon.
Woo!
Sorry. I know. I'm frozen to search mice.
You don't put that like over there, like right next to that. Like right there, probably. I'll be all right.
This is now wow, this might be sure.
All right. What is it?
It's a t-shirt.
Where's it from? Hi, Mom.
So I don't know whether you can hear me on the side or might be loud audio, or you might not be able to hear it at all, but you can see it or you speak out and just listen to the podcast. Maybe you can drop a comment on there and say that you're as we started, there's a lot of people kind of filtering in. So yeah, the show started. I won't ramble anymore. Saturday morning. No mic. So, or can you hear me right here? Let me know.
No, it's going through the laptop.
All right. So the audio probably won't be good.
We'll try our best.
Can you hear me good now? Because I'm over by the laptop. So can you hear me? Is it loud and clear here? What up, Chan? When foul test earlier is coming through the mic. Yep. Guys, the audio might be compromised. I'm over by it right now. It might be our only audio source. Unfortunately, we didn't have much time to set up, so maybe you could let people know throughout the show the audio is not going to be the best, but we will definitely post the podcast right after this, and you guys can too. Pretty crazy here. I think so, yeah. Everyone's talking. Chan's on here. I see Chan on Lionel's videos a lot.
Kyle, the audio worked. I definitely heard myself on there. Yeah, that's
Look how many people are engaging.
I know.
Constructive help.
Hello, Troy. Hello,
Chaz, Rick,
What up, Rick?
John, Christian, Jake, all men. The core clientele is male.
Yeah, let's go get now. Get now. Ready. All right.
We've gone by 7.
All right, everyone. First and foremost, just want to thank everyone for coming out. It's a pleasure. None of us know a few of us know what we're talking about. I'm just up here to baffle some of these fellas. Thanks so much for coming out. If you could have a seat, if there's not enough seating, there's some over here. Also want to thank Beth and Luke McKenzie at Wind Republic for providing the tab, the beer for all of us. Oh, I guess I'll have a seat. Thank you. It's really cool to have people that help out and are passionate about the sport. So really just want to give a massive thank you to Beth and Luke. I go way back with them. I think a lot of us here, like Pat, myself, all the way back to the Island House Triathlon, actually, originally.
Oh, yeah.
So fun.
I think we gave Talbot his first job.
Yes, yeah, my first paid gig.
And he was like a massive Gwen brother.
Yes,
He was
that
all in
is
the-
true. That's a fact. But yeah, I guess we'll dive into it. Kyle.
Yeah. Make sure you go see the Wind Republic booth at the expo. Go get some good swag. Every time someone buys something from your booth, though, they end up winning world championship, right?
So we have world championship winning race belts available. There goes Kat Matthews running for a win race belt. But don't tell your,
Don't tell your competitors. All right. Do you guys want the intro? Let's do it proper.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Morning. ProTri News is a podcast with different opinions, knowledge, and possibly fake news about triathlon racing. This is not for the faint of heart. If you get offended or hurt by what is said, please stop listening and go listen to some uplifting meditation music or just go work out. Then try again.
There we go.
All right. Well, welcome. Beautiful St. George, Utah. We are so excited to be here, the land of endurance. So I'm joined by Chelsea Burns.
Hello, thank you, Kyle.
She bought a van on her way here, so
And
she
I'm
can come to
here
the race.
in St. George.
We also have Talbot Cox.
What's up? And also in the house, we have Kat Matthews, future Ironman world champion. And we also have Gustav Eden's mother in here, future Ironman world champion's mother. So there we go. The good luck's flowing in here. Yeah, for sure.
So Pat, when Pat brought the whole fam.
I got the whole fam. Unfortunately, Stanley got stood up at the door because he is 4, and that's quite a bit of ways from 21. So tough night for him, but he's headed to McDonald's Play Place with Gwen, and I think he's gonna be in a pretty jolly mood the rest of the night.
We also have, I'm going to get to you last. So we got Mark Matthews joining us.
Hey, how are we? I'm amazed we've come this far, Kyle. And this is you. So I'm going to take my intro to say, well done, Kyle. Because the rest of us don't do anything in the background. As you know from listening, we haven't got a clue what we're talking about. Kyle produces all our show notes, gets all the kit, does all the broadcasting, and we make a hash of it. So thank you, Kyle, for organising this.
I appreciate that.
Thanks, Kyle.
Beth McKenzie joining us, part owner, co-owner. How do you guys?
The boss.
The boss. That's all right, Luke. The boss. All right. Beth McKenzie's joining us. She's been a long time listener of the show, big time supporter. So it was an honor to have her on with us.
And Beth, you've always hit us with critical feedback if we got something right, needed to improve, and we really appreciate that, actually. So I think it makes total sense that, you're a guest on tonight's show, you're a partner of the show, and we just want to make it really clear. If you're in St. George, you've got to go to the Wind Republic booth and just buy a bunch of stuff.
Thank you. But yes, we love our apparel brand. We're very passionate about it. But the real reason I'm here is to be able to tell that he's an idiot or he's being an idiot, and get a woman on that knows a little. Well, Chelsea knows a lot of stuff. So I invited myself on this podcast before I knew that Chelsea was coming. And I was like, you guys need a woman and B, someone who knows about long course triathlon, and that's me. But it's really been great seeing you guys here and meeting each other, because I don't know if you've all met or been in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, this is our first time all together.
Yeah, it's really cute. It's really great. I think it's great what you guys have done, and so thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you've done the race course before.
I raced St. George's my first Ironman in 2010.
Yeah, perfect. So she's got the insight for the race course. So do you want to dive into the course first and foremost? Give a little background on it.
Let's let Mark do it.
Mark's done the majority of the course already, so.
Yeah, I got dropped on a chunk of the course yesterday and today, pretty dramatically. So that doesn't say a lot about the course, unfortunately. So the swim is cold, would be the main thing. It's a single big left hand or right hand sweeping loop lake swim, but it is cold. We're talking 15 degrees C, which is 53 degrees Fahrenheit in Gourmet, which is chilly. So there are some athletes that won't like that and some that will. And then the bike cuts out, and you think that first 90k is flat, but it's not. And I wouldn't even say it's rolling. I'd say it's hilly. There are hills on there that will attack and will break the groups up. One big bike loop followed by a short snow canyon loop, and then into a 2-lap run course with, it's horrible. I don't know what else to describe that run course as. You're either running up or down. How many people in the room are racing on Saturday, by the way? Yes.
Wow!
Yes. In here.
Yeah, rather you than me is what I would say about the run course.
Let me pause you real quick. If people are coming in, there's a tab. Come on in, make yourself at home, grab a drink on Win Republic. Appreciate it.
And that's Christian Hugenhout, who's probably not drinking this week because he's one of our lead male pros racing. So, yeah, that's the course for me, I think. We can talk about how it affects the race a bit as we go through athletes, but that's it.
Mark, you've been here for a few days. Can you just, the listeners at home, and I've never been to St. George, Utah before, and I was really picturing this as an area that was going to be a lot flatter than it is. I'm fairly competent on a road bike, and most of the riding around here, I would be in my easiest gear riding uphill or my hardest gear riding downhill. It's much hillier than what I thought. On top of that, it's basically been gale force winds every single day. How do we think that will play into the race on Saturday?
So the gear ratio thing is really interesting because it's something that pros have been fretting about. I know you've heard it with Lionel. I've had pros messaging asking for flying out late. Can you bring me this chain ring? So you'll find most of the men are trying to go as big as possible. So most of the male pros, if you're riding Shimano, are banging the 58 front with a 44 inside, looking for 11 low. And that's really hard because it gives you like a massive range that you're trying to cover. There are some idiot pros that are considering one bice for a while. I'm looking at Christian in the back, but even Christian, who's dropping watts that would make your eyes bleed, are on doubles. So yeah, there's that. And then the wind as well. It depends which direction it blows. Because if it blows in your face on the way out, you end up with a really slow on the way out because you're basically climbing a lot. But then you end up unable to pedal for a lot of the way back. It's so fast. So that will affect the race massively.
Beth, I want to talk about the water temp. What will it be like to be in that cold of water for almost an hour? And I think just 15 degrees Celsius, 58, I think we got the conversion for Fahrenheit. That's not enjoyable on a day like today when it was 80 and sunny. I'm not going to have fun getting in the water at that time. What will it be like for the athletes at 6:15 in the morning?
Yeah, so the water is very cold here, and when I raced here, I thought it was going to be unbearably cold, so I did weird things like I put Vaseline all over my face because I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh, that'll work. So you're going to be cold in the water, but the athletes should warm up fast. It's not that cold, and the great thing about Utah is I have raced here also the half twice at least, and when you get out of the water, it's so dry and arid here that you're going to dry off very quickly. A lot of athletes are concerned, but we have athletes come into our booth asking for booties, gloves, arm warmers. I don't think you're gonna need them. You drive really fast here.
Even at like the air temperature that time in the morning is really quite low as well. But you think because you dry it makes it much more bearable?
Yeah, but also looks like race day is gonna be 18 degrees in the morning Celsius. So that's like not bad.
Oh, got it. One of Cat's main rivals is it's not great in the cold, so I was hoping for some UK weather, but fine.
Watch it, Mark.
Well, let's. Just want to do it. If you're coming in, filter in, grab a drink. There's seating all around, so don't be shy. One of the races. Would you guys want to get into male or female first?
Should be male.
I want to talk about the new bikes that are going to be on course.
Can we, you know what, guys, I think the Pro Tri News has a group text thread, and sometimes my texts get replied to, other times they don't.
Mental noted.
So last night, I think, there's been a text that's gone out, 2 new bikes came out, a BMC and then a Felt. Can we?
And the giant concept bike. Yeah, I can talk about it. It's all over social media. I'm not.
Okay.
There's a YouTube video leaked.
Okay.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah, we're all right.
So have anyone been to London here? The Boris bikes you see in London that you can pick up for free, and you pay for the app on your phone. It looks a lot like what Christian's riding. Also, the old giant concept bike from 1998. It looks remarkably similar to. So that's where's the giant was Cadex, isn't it? So there's a concept bike he's riding, and then there's the BMC, like you said, which is a combo with Red Bull.
Formula One team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, looks a lot like the track.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a progress in making for 4 years, I believe.
The BMC.
The BMC. The most impressive thing with the BMC, I will say though, is that they got a picture with Max Verstappen.
Yeah, but you guys are Formula One nerds, aren't you? I don't just
Yeah.
Formula One nerds.
Yeah.
Well, I will say about it, the reason they've done it is quite interesting. And it's based around the idea that the Formula One teams, because they're using the same engines all season now, suddenly had a glut of capacity of expert engineers because they weren't constantly redeveloping through the season. So they used that glut of expertise and pushed it into different areas, not just cycling. So I think that's part of why that's quite a cool project.
Sounds sexy.
Okay, so do we?
Yeah.
I think we can maybe table the bike thing until we get into and assess what athletes are going to be racing on them. And did we decide we're gonna get into the men's preview first?
Yeah, let's dive into it. What's going to happen?
That's a hell of a question.
What's going to happen?
I mean, there's groups on there.
Five swimmers going to get away from the men's race.
Oh, you counted them already. So you've got Daniel Baffegard, you've got Alistair Brownlee, probably Kyle Smith, Florian Anger, possibly
Max Newman.
Sam Laidlow.
Sam Laidlow as well, yeah. So that's when the group might go. But Alistair will be gutted to have lost the likes of Gomez and Jan, because he'll have hoped for their support on the bike off that front swim group before the likes of Mikhail and Christian come up with obviously Sam and...
Mikhail's not racing, his brother.
Mikhail.
His brother Gustav.
I've raced Mikhail. Mikhail could be racing. Mikhail's a disgusting age group and shouldn't be allowed. But anyway.
And I think we could all agree that their number one goal is to make sure that Christian does not get on their feet. Because once Christian gets on their feet, it's probably not going to be a good day for someone in that front group.
Well, it's wasting their advantage. Or do they deliberately bleed that? Because they know that group's going to come, I would imagine, especially with the lack of firepower at the front. So do they just use that as a buffer? And they just accept through the first hour they can chill, lose a couple of minutes, hopefully save some resources. But that's a situation.
Yeah, I just don't see anybody really going for it off the front of the swim, except maybe someone, like Max Newman, who's like, well, this could be my moment, for a second. But without Jan there and Josh Amberger, you're just not going to have that big gap. So I think there's going to be a big front pack. And a lot of those guys that we just talked about, they're not going to be wanting to really go off the front. So maybe Alistair?
Did you see Alistair in Kona in 2019 in the first sort of 20K?
No, but I saw him in Oceanside last week.
Well, he didn't put his feet in his shoes until he went up Pilani, whatever the steep note is. He was just screaming at Jan, and I think it was Daniel Baffegard with him as well. He was gunning for the start. So
Okay, so Alistair, yeah.
It's tough to imagine a race where we haven't seen Alistair Brownlee push the swim as hard as he possibly can. I think he would want to create some distance between him and Christian Blumenfeld. Do we see any tactics where the front group potentially takes the swim a bit easier and then they come out of the water, realize the likes of Blumenfeld and Gustav are with them. And then there's a bit of a gain where, maybe there's a massive headwind the first 70K, and then all of a sudden there's everybody's kind of looking at each other. And this allows what we'll call the second and third groups on the road to gain a little bit of time and come a little bit closer. Is that a risk that the front of the race has if they play cat and mouse?
Yeah, but
So we're on the bike now, right? We're on the bike?
Yeah.
We're
Pass the swim.
Stay on
Pass the swim. Pass the swim.
There's not much that we can see. The problem with the swim is they get in the water and we don't get to see much for 50 minutes.
And then they get out of the water.
The bike will be, there's no way that chase back doesn't catch. Now you've got Camworth, Sam Long, Lionel Sanders, Christian. You've got some massive firepower. Boris Stein will come through the back as well. I think we'll see that come together a lot. And then it's who will get dropped from that front route once that train catches, I think.
I did have a look at the wind forecast. Thanks, Jordan. And it does look like the headwind is going to come in that first 70, 80K of the bike. However, during the complete time that the men are going to be on the bike, I don't think the wind's going to be huge like it's going to be for the age groupers. It's going to be a headwind in that section, but then they're going to have a bit of a tailwind when they climb.
The age groupers are going to race the wind and the heat.
Yeah, the heat picks up here late in the day, doesn't it? Like big time. So the age group race is definitely harder.
And Mark, have you ridden all 180K of the bike?
No, I drove the first half behind Kat and Christian, and I've ridden the second half in all of Snow Canyon, etc.
Can you give the listeners and me, especially just an understanding of when the big climb is, and then kind of when are the other notable segments along the way?
I don't think it'll go like it's a big climb. It'll be the break. I think it's so relenting that it's on and off the power for the first. So for the first 100K, there's none of the big climbs that people are talking about, but it's endless on and off the power, 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So there's a 6-minute climb in the first 20K. The big ones you've got that people are talking about are the wall, which is near the 130K point. I'm looking at the back, getting some nodding, yeah. And that's, I don't want to call it an Americanism, but that's not a wall. It's not a
for
sun.
Kat.
But are you in a little?
It was for me. You're
You're in a little chain ring.
I'm always
Yeah.
in the little chain ring. But no, that's a serious time, and it kicks up towards the end, so that'll go. And then Snow Canyon, but Snow Canyon's what, 4, 5, 6%? It's actually not. For a pro rider, like we'll ride up at his age groups in the ring, it's fine. And it'll feel hard, but the pros will go up that. A lot of the pros with big ring Snow Canyon quite easy. That's not what's putting the little ring on.
But the first half, the part of the bike course before the climbs that everyone's talking about, another thing is that they've got really good road surface. So I think that people are gonna go really quick the first 100K, so first 60 miles or so.
All right, let's get to the run though.
Wait,
Wow,
we
okay.
have a big deciding factor before we move there.
We
We
still gotta
got
talk about the women's
this
race. and
we
then
have
the
a
men's.
Kyle, we got plenty of time.
All right,
This normally happens when you can't see us and Carla on camera like, move on.
we have a
They
pro
do the hand
cyclist.
gestures.
We have a pro cyclist in this race who will definitely impact. And I guess the question will be is how many of the guys will attempt to ride with him to the front, and how many of them will let him go, and will he impact the race? Do you see him on this course? Do you see him getting away, or do you see a lot of those guys burning all their matches going with him?
Like, is he riding way better now than he was? Like, I know he's been doing, we're talking about Camworth, by the way, he's just come off the back of Paris-Roubaix, leading on the cobbles. If you've watched Bob Babbitt's interview, that's an amazing interview of Camworth. I don't know, I think they hold him, some of these guys. Like, the top end triathletes are pushing incredible power. The draft at this 44K an hour they're going is way more than 10 meters deep. Like, and does Cam want to drop everyone? Probably not.
I think he goes and terrorizes the bike course.
I agree.
I would argue that, all due respect to Cam, I mean, for this race, he's a one-trick pony. We know where he's going to be able to swim. We know that his time to shine is going to be the 180Ks out on the bike course, and then he's going to put his shoes on, start the run, and be in full-blown survival mode.
He
And
runs really well.
I mean,
So
but
does
he could potentially get a fifth, maybe.
Nah.
Kyle, we sat on my patio 4 days ago, and you thought he was a dark horse to win.
Listen, I've changed my picks every day since I've been here. I ride a new section of the course. I'm like, we got the new podium.
He scrolls through Instagram, sees he's looking good, and then changes his mind.
I do think Cam though has the best bike ability out of everyone and could potentially run the marathon fresher than anyone else on the
If
start
he
list.
doesn't have the best bike ability and he's also doing something terribly wrong, making terrible decisions, like he should obviously be the best cyclist in the race. Let's just see. I don't think it'll be leagues above some of the guys we've got.
Talbot, do you have any intel on how he's swimming?
No idea, but two people we haven't talked about is Christian and Gustav, and that's how they're feeling, because I think that a lot of people here are racing the Norwegians. They're wanting to know where they're at. They're wanting to get time splits to where Christian's at. How far back is Gustav from Christian? When is their group going to catch us? And I think that that's where a majority of the race will unfold. And of course, we definitely know that Alistair does not want to get off the bike. Mark might argue with Christian or Gustav, because I believe that both of them can outrun Alistair. But it's where is the likes of him at? Where's Lionel Sanders at? We know that he does have a good run coming off of Oceanside. Where's Sam Long at with his massive 10-hour training rides? So I don't know.
Talbot, are you feeling okay? We've gone 20 minutes and haven't said the word Lionel.
That's true. That's genuinely amazing. Yeah. But well done for you. At least you brought him into it. So, yeah, the Norwegians are obviously like the kids that everyone's talking about. And Sam Long, I would say, is the on-form athlete this year. Like his results have been the standout wins so far this year. But yeah, they're the ones to beat, aren't they? Has anyone not picked them for the win other than me? I don't know.
They're not on mine.
You know, I think I've said it before about Gustav, and I'll say this about Christian as well. You know, when they decide to pin a number on, the reality is they are the most feared athletes on the start line, and everyone knows that if they bring 85-90%, that they are a serious threat to win, and they can be world champions. So, you know, we'll see what Saturday brings.
Should we go through some predictions then? What do
You want to go
reckon?
in and then go with the
Let's go men's. What do you reckon?
So I've got Gustav for the win.
Safe.
Yeah.
Bet.
safe.
I'm going to keep it exciting though, and I've got Daniel Backegaard for second.
Ooh.
He's shown he's good on this course. Anyway, and then third, I've got Cam Worth.
Oh!
Yeah.
You know you have a dark horse pick. You could have saved that.
No, my dark horse is Brendan Curry or Kyle Smith.
Yeah, no, I like Carl Smith. He's my dark horse as well. Yeah, I've got. I'm going Alistair Brownlee for the win, just because I always do, and one day.
Whoa, shocker.
I'll look like a genius when I play them. I'm going Sam Long second, as I think he's on form, and I think he'll ride brilliantly. And I'm going to go with Lionel Sanders third.
Full circle.
And my dark horse, I'm going with Carl Smith as well, or Christian Hogenhauer, because I think there's some bike power coming through this course, and I think there'll be a massive rate of attrition. But yeah, I'm not going with either of the Norwegians. There's a lot of negativity coming out, and if I go with them, I'm essentially saying that I believe a 30k race pace run the Sunday before a race is the way to go. And like they're proving us wrong every day of the week, and it's like mind blowing what they're capable of doing. But like I'm not advocating it yet, and I'm looking forward to seeing it work, and I'm sure it will. But yeah, that's why I'm not.
All right, I'm just going to run through mine then really quick.
You haven't changed them since you wrote them down.
No, this was the last time I changed them was at 3:21 today.
All right.
That was my final answer. I'm sticking with it.
Is anything going to change in the next 2 days?
Nope.
All right.
I changed them 4 times, and the 4th time was it. So I got Lionel in first, no surprise there. Christian Blumenfeld second, Alistair Brownlee in third. Dark horse, can call him a dark horse, but we're going to say Sam Long.
What?
That's not dark.
Here's the
Might
thing.
need to go through
I
the
will
definition of dark horse so we get
I'll fight for this one. You know, this is really his first Ironman championship level race. This will be new territory for him, and you know, I know his ranking is quite good, but I think in this level, it's brand new for him. Mark, I wanted to challenge you on Alistair. Is that okay?
Always.
What do we think? I saw Oceanside, and I always see this with, it's a little bit of a habit that I've seen with Alistair, is that when he gets put under pressure, he might decide to.
Sorry, I was just ordering.
No, that's all right. He might decide to
I
give
was
up
the
or
only
not
one
give his
drinking
best
for a while,
effort.
but now I think I'm sick.
So sorry. Say again. The last
You know,
bit.
sometimes it seems like Alistair, when he gets put under pressure, he maybe quits.
Like in the Olympics?
Yeah, like there's 2 Olympic gold medals he's got.
So I think, well, he ran away at those ones. So
So Oceanside, we accept the Ocean. So Daytona, he learned a lot back when he quit. Then he had a horrible Achilles injury, and we were with him the week before, and he decided to do all of his track sessions that he'd missed in the week before the race, and he just reading himself. Yeah, and he learned from that, and he's off the track. And Oceanside, like he said on a recent PTO video, he had basically mono through it, and that's what he does when he's that ill. I just think like he went 7:43 or something in Australia with an uncontested Ironman. Like he has the physical ability to win this. And this is the first time he's actually focused on this. Also, like I think he's the greatest ever
Single day racer?
100%. As Carl always says, like no one's ever put a better single triathlon performance than I think he did twice in London and Rio. They were complete domination. So if he gets it right, that's why I'm backing. That's why I've got Alistair.
it's always a safe bet to pick Alistair Brownlee. So no,
It's a dangerous bet.
Yeah, that's right. No, but I mean, he's had an amazing career, and I think it's I want to see him, knock it out of the park. But obviously, he's got some big competition on Saturday.
I think he needs one world chance. It would be nice if it was Kona because people talk about it. In my eyes, to be the GOAT. So Jan's got 2, but people are like, oh, Jan's beat Alistair way more times. Like, 3. Sorry. Wow, that's
a couple $1 million, dude. Don't make that.
But Alistair's beat Jan way more times than Jan's beat Alistair. Like in their short course career, like one of the reasons Jan, and he'll say this to you, he moved on is Alistair just broke him. After he won the 28, like Alistair destroyed him for years, like race after race after race, and he moved on. So I think he wins 1 or 2 of these. Go in my eyes.
Agreed.
You're up. Me? Yeah. Knock our socks off with your.
I don't know. I believe if Gustav pins up on race day, we do know on his Strava he did post that he's been feeling sick. I think Gustav is the one to beat, and I don't think he's going to get on the start line if he doesn't feel like he can win. That given granted, I think he's the best athlete here. I'm going to go with Gustav for the win.
I agree. I think he's the most talented Ironman athlete here.
Yeah.
Like he's a natural at this long stuff. I agree with it.
Second place, I'm going to go with Sanders, of course. I definitely want him to win. I think if Gustav doesn't race, I think that Lionel's going to win it. And
those
then
YouTube
third,
profits start looking good, don't they?
and then third, I'm going to repeat what Beth said. I think that Cam is going to get away with a big enough gap and hold on to some crazy 3-hour and 20-minute run, and he'll be able to sneak his way onto the podium.
Oh my God.
For once, I
That
sort
I
of
thought,
agreed
yeah.
to tell it, but I'm embarrassed about it.
I thought you were coming on here to keep this bullshit in check.
I only, honestly, Mark, you're as big as an Alistair fanboy as they are as Lionel fanboy, so it's like, come on.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to challenge Alistair on is we've yet to see Alistair get put under pressure outside of South Africa in a long distance race that he's able to perform at, like run away.
But South Africa was pretty epic.
South Africa was
I do
like
love
by
that
far.
too.
I remember JB's in the house right here. I was riding a bike next to him and we're looking over and watching Javier Brownlee and Jan just have at it.
Wasn't that like a 106.30 half
It
marathon?
was
The
amazing.
full carbon
But
shape.
has he ever been challenged in an Ironman? Because I know like a bunch of 70.3s. Daytona over bike blew up. Cameron over bike blew up. Oceanside, he did have mono.
Alistair only really cares when it's a really, really big world stage. Other than that, if he's not winning, I think sometimes he's just like, meh, like not worth it, podium, whatever. But this is a big deal.
And the only reason I'm saying Lionel is because I think we've seen a new Lionel since Coeur d'Alene. He
That's why
has
he's my third. Yeah.
changed. McCall's in here as coach. He's actually put reins on him. He's pulled him back, and he's actually doing the proper training. So that's why I see.
Is he using lactate? Is he?
He's doing all LT3, all LT3 drinking.
It's the 21st century after all, mate. And
So
what's
that's
the dark horse? Do you get a dark horse?
Dark horses are like, oh, woe is me. I gotta pick someone. Who cares? No one looks at the dark horses. They only care about the champion.
Yeah, but
He's
he's
not
Yeah,
going there
second
at the
place.
podium.
But it's our chance to know.
All right, fine. I'll pick
It's like
someone.
it's like a bonus.
I got Christian Hoganov.
Something to turn up and it's easy.
We'll just go in order. I'll go.
Okay.
Where do you want to go?
Oh, you go.
All right. First place, I'm going Daniel Backegard. Second place, I'm going to go Lionel Sanders. And third place, I'm going to go Jan van Berkel because his name hasn't been said.
Yeah, and that boy can run, and seemingly right now as well.
Yeah. And my dark horse, as submitted yesterday at 9:51 p.m., Braden Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cutie.
So Backegard though, like, he almost needs a big result here. I know he had a very good 70.3 worlds, but he talks a very good game as well, doesn't he? And when you talk a good game, you need to put good results down to validate that, or else people start to just you lose your hype. So
He really convinced me. I went and drove for Kenny Withrow while he shot Daniel Backegard for Fighting Chance on YouTube. And
you like the paint job on his bike?
no, just like talking to him, and he's like, just like a kid in a candy shop, just smiling the whole time. So happy to be here. He said it's like riding back home. It's a very European course, is what he said. So we'll see how he puts it together on race day. But I've always been a big fan of Daniel Backegard. So
I'm curious, did you notice, typically I believe he runs a single chain ring up front. Has he adjusted that for the race? Is that something you observed?
I didn't see his bike.
I'm looking towards the back of the
Around,
room, and I'm
okay.
getting thumbs up to confirm he's running 2 rings.
2 rings, okay. Well,
I don't know if there's any pros running 1 by.
Sam Long.
Oh.
And I wonder if he changes it.
I wonder if he listens to this podcast. He rings up Trek and he's like, "Do you have 2 chain
it
rings?"
depends when we drop. It depends when we drop this podcast.
Nothing
It's
is that
live.
stage.
It's live. So I'm sure Sam.
Nothing here is that stage. As long as you can get the same gearing going downhill, I think, like better gearing going downhill, I think it'll be fine.
So the risk,
I rode a 1 by in Kona.
But it's the
I'm already
wind.
1 by in Canada. I'm not as good at riding.
If it's the wind and the hill is where you're
So
screwed.
it's not just the limiting gear, because you can put a massive spread chain ring on, right, and you can go 34 in the back
You
of your
skip
race
a
back.
lot.
It's the fact that the gaps then become really big between your cassette rings. So riding a 1 by, you're then forced to take huge gaps. You're forced to ride an unoptimized cadence for a long period of time. So the weight and drafting savings versus your ability to ride the cadence you want, in my opinion, isn't worth it. So that's why I'm surprised.
Ready for Chelsea's pick?
Chelsea, have you seen the start list?
Chelsea's a little out of her comfort zone here, but I'm gonna make
We
my
got
pick.
WTS Yokohama coming up in a couple weeks.
Her picks will probably win because they're the only like unbiased ones.
I made my picks at 9:49 p.m. last night, and since Kyle makes his picks based on who sees on Instagram, I make them based on who I beat. So, Gustav, Lionel, Van Berkel, and this guy Hogan Hog.
Yeah! Which we went for wannabe Chipotle with just
Yeah.
before you made this pick.
Yeah, we went to Cafe Rio and he had a good meal, so I'm.
Mark's a big Cafe Rio fan.
I'm a convert.
Good
Yeah.
question. Why does nobody mention Patrick Nelson?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't,
But
but I just
we
want
missed
to know.
thing
we missed
too.
his name.
It's not like we're just a bunch of uneducated. There's so many players in this race that can be a contender. I mean, look at Sebastian Kienle, probably the most consistent podium athlete at the World Championship distance. He said he's running good. I mean, this is a race that he's going to thrive in. No one's talking about him. I mean, he could have an incredible day. There's so many athletes out here. That's why we race.
I think the point is we tune in for the race and see what happens.
Yeah, but
We
Patrick
set our picks.
Nelson is a good question because statistically he's very highly ranked.
So is Sebi
Yeah, Sebi himself
in
doesn't.
Thorsten's pick.
Yeah, but that's based on some historical data. Sebi himself doesn't. He's not talking about winning. Patrick Nelson, it's the consistency. I think we don't want to gamble on. Like he'll go 4 races in DNF and then he'll put down something that's truly incredible. Christian was
Monster
unlucky.
performance.
Like he DNF 5 races in a row. Christian put down an unbelievable race-winning performance in Frankfurt, and Patrick Nelson then decides to show up and dominates it. Like, it's the gamble. Is he going to be here today to race? And that's why I'm thinking.
I like his man bun. Does he still have it?
Yeah, I think he's had a haircut, hasn't he? So I think he's lost a
Okay,
little
he's
man.
off. Okay.
Luke, I think you need to grow your hair out.
I'm a good
Move on to
man.
women's race.
Let's move.
Yeah, let's go. Women's race preview. So
Let's let that take it away.
Oh no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
That's the only reason you're here. I'm not really there. Is you promised you
That's
had a
true.
preview of the
Okay,
women's
so
race.
starting from the beginning, we're going to see a much different race than we've ever seen at the Ironman World Championships because Lucy's not here and Lauren Brandon's not here.
Can you just provide the audience with some color on, this is the first wetsuit swim and what that will, given that even though the
Yeah.
front pack swimmers, the dominance there is missing from the race, but what does it mean that everybody's wearing a wetsuit for this race?
I think in the pro field, it doesn't mean that much, to be honest. I don't know. Even for me as a very terrible swimmer, I actually used to do better in non-wetsuit swims. I mean, overall, it'll probably be a couple minutes quicker, so we might see some really quick times, but I don't think it's going to impact the race that much.
Completely agree. Like Joe Skipper's the same as you. He's a bad swimmer by his own admission, but he prefers non-wetsuit. Yeah.
The same people will be with the same people.
And we don't think that there's any opportunity for kind of the borderline swimmers that they maybe make that first group and they maybe make that second group. Is there a world where a guy like Miles Sanders can make that second group, wetsuit swim versus a non-wetsuit swim, and then who are going to be the equivalents along the way in the women's race as well?
I think Haley Chur will lead it out. And
Yeah.
everyone else will be
For sure.
behind her.
There's two swimmers with her as well, I think. Fenella Langridge and Lisa Norton.
Yeah. If Haley doesn't drop them, but yeah, for sure.
And can your wife make the Daniela group in a
She's
wetsuit?
just walked out the room, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's left.
Not by a chance, no way. No, that's the gold standard, isn't it? So it depends if that group then goes. So it's whether there's a small group in between. So there's that front three.
I predict Haley goes off the front, and then there's another group of 6 to 8 women all together, including Fenella, including Kat, including Daniela, including Lisa Norton. I think they stay together.
No way.
If Kat makes that group, she won the world
And
championship.
No, so I
I
sort of see what you're saying. I think Haley Shura goes solo. I think there's then Lisa Norton, Fenella Langridge. Then I think there's probably Daniela Wright. And the dream then for Anne and Kat, etc., is that's one group. So
Sure.
Kat's with Daniela, Kat's and Anne's with them. That's that main group. And that's when we'll go through the picks, but that's where your real contenders, your favourites will be. And it's whether Daniela gets up the road or not that will be interesting. Haley Shura is the best one.
And this will be, I don't see this being a very big pack race similar to the men's. This will be a lot of individual time trial, you race your own race, which a name I want to mention that will do incredible in that always thrives is someone like Heather Jackson or Sky Munch, who will just move slow. They'll come out a year and a half.
Launch. She's been on the show.
Launch. Come on.
It's like launch.
And then they'll work their way through the field because a lot of the females will struggle on the back half of the bike course.
I don't think that Heather will be with that pack of women we were just talking about.
No, not that, but they'll work their way through.
Maybe, but those women that we're just talking about are such strong cyclists. I think that Lisa Norton makes her way to the front of the race pretty quickly. Kat's stomping on the bike, and Daniela is too, and that's going to be what's interesting to me.
I think as well that what people might not realise about why you see less packs in women's racing than men's racing, there's sort of two main reasons. The strength in depth doesn't exist. So that you go to men's fields and there's 40 starters, you go to some women's fields, there's 8 starters, but they're spread over the same percentage variance. That's different. But also the draft doesn't extend as far. So if you're Christian, the boys, and Chris Leifman and that, and you're doing 45, 46k an hour, that 10 meter, I know it's 12, but it's front to back, etc. That draft carries further. Whereas if you're a female athlete,
And you're not giving out too much.
exactly, you're giving off less draft, and because the speed's lower, the draft tails less fast, so the percentage saving is less. So that's why the women's packs will go plus the hilly course.
And there's probably only 24 women starting, ish.
It's mad, isn't it?
Look, I think the last time was it a week ago or 10 days ago when we talked about St. George, we mentioned Laura Phillips' name many times, that she was, we had her picked for first or second, and she's obviously withdrawn from the race. And so now it's really, I think we all agreed it was really challenging to pick a podium, and it really opened up quite a bit. And, last night I go back to our text thread, and I think it is a very open race for the podium. And I think we're going to see somebody have a massive result that maybe we didn't think about them, or we had them picked for somewhere in the top 10, and where are going to be those opportunities, and then what we haven't talked about yet, how important this race is potentially for Kona slots.
Can we just cycle to Laura Phillip for a minute?
Sure.
So I got a couple of weeks ago, I made a joke about Reece Barkley and Lucy Charles-Barkley. I basically
Distasteful.
it was distasteful, and Lucy Gossage, who I've known for 20 years, called me out on Twitter. And she accused me of reveling in someone's misfortune, which wasn't what the theme of the joke was. It was basically a dad joke. The husband gets the blame for everything. It was terrible, sorry. But when you hear Laura Phillips not turning up and you've got a joint bank account, it was hard not to revel in that. Even at her, and I say that with absolute compliment, because she was the race favourite. Laura Phillips was coming into this as the race favourite, given her 2 Ironman races last year. And yes, we all want to see her here. The whole setup she's got around her is lovely. But it's a shame she's not here. Even with Lucy Charles here, I would have had Laura Phillips as the race favourite. So yeah, it's a shame she's had to pull out today, because she was shoe-in favourite. Anyway, the rest of the question, opening up, which is what are some of the picks?
Yeah.
You're right, because there's 3 main favourites in my eyes, maybe 4. And then after that, one of
You
those.
want to talk about strong runners at all?
Pardon?
You want to talk about strong runners?
Yeah, but there's one strong runner. If you look at how different, Anhau is by far the strongest runner in this race.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe Kat, who's run away downstairs, so we can talk about her freely. Anhau, Kat wants 10 minutes on Anne off the bike. She's incredible.
But she only needs 3 or 4.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. But yeah, so there's some strong runners, and the back half will vary. You've got Heather Jackson running through. You've got some of these people running through. But in my eyes, and I'll go first. The favourites are Kat, Daniela Rife, Anhau, and Sky Munch. But one of those will have a terrible day. They always do. Ironman is like that, as Beth knows that people drop out all the time. And then you'll see someone surprised, and I think that's absolutely right.
Beth, hit it away.
Are we not going to make him pick his first person or what? That's fine. I don't think he needs to.
I think it's a big
bind.
winning margin.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Whoa.
So I still went with Daniela for the win, only because I thought everyone else here would pick Kat, and my heart wants to pick Kat, and I still think, but I'm going with Daniela for the win, Kat for second, and I have Anne in third. My dark horse is not a very dark horse call in Europe probably, but Americans don't know as much about Fenella Langridge, I think. And yeah, that's it.
So Fenella's will start at the front of the race, won't she? And then it's how long she stays in the front of the race. And that's a huge advantage psychologically. Whilst you're near the front, you're not chasing, and chasing is mentally quite challenging. So that's got to be a good thing for Fenella.
Okay, I've got Kat Matthews taking the win. Second, we're going to call this a home race for Sky Munch because she's from Utah, has world championships. I think she's going to put on a fantastic performance and one that we'll continue to see. She'll claw her way up through the ranks throughout the day. And then in third, I've got Ruth Assel. I think she's going to same thing. This is going to be a lonely 180K out on the bike, and then an even more lonely 42 kilometers.
Ruth's running brilliantly.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be the last 10K. She's going to Pac-Man through a bunch of women in front of her. And then dark horse, we argued about this beforehand. I'm going to pick Daniela Reeve. I know she's won this.
So you've got Fenella Langridge on your podium, and your
And
dark
Beth,
horse is how many? I'm not going to say how many world championships has done.
Yeah, she's got 17 world championships. But obviously the reality is that the last time her and Kat raced it was Tulsa last year, right?
Yeah.
I said
7 went through well. So last fall was Tulsa. Yeah.
Okay. But I said, clearly had Kat not got that penalty, she was going to win the race, right?
Yeah. Well, at the time, I said no, straight off the podcast, because Danielle's great, and she's one of the greatest of all time, and you have to give her the benefit of the doubt. She should have pushed on. But they were mighty similar last year, and one of them's improved a lot.
Yeah. So all respect to Daniela, but I think that her winning on Saturday would be a dark horse win, just given the form that we're seeing.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess I'll dive in. Wow. I guess I'm not going to go with Kat. I would love for Kat to win it.
I'm just going to go with, because I am American, I'm biased. I don't know how to say her last name, but Sky, I'm going to pick her for the win. How do you say it? Launch. I'm going to go with Sky, and then I'll go with Ann Hug. I think that she'll run through the field, but I think Kat will have a big enough buffer on the bike. I'll pick Daniela for third, and I still am going to hang on to my Heather Jackson. I think that she's changed coaches, and I think that this is going to be a long, gritty individual TT race. We saw her in Florida with her new coach, and I think she's going to have a great day. That's what
I'm just trying to drink more into the towel.
Don't worry. Tal and I aren't drinking, but obviously Mark's got our fair share. So.
We started like 14, you guys started 21. It's not
Yeah.
fair.
I was impressed one time watching you as you were spectating and having beers at like 10 a.m. It was so impressive. More
It's not
impressive than
impressive, it's
Cat's
my
race.
problem.
Mark, I need you to come back in the fall, and I'm going to introduce you to something called college football. You'll love it.
Yeah, I've been to a
Eggs
couple of
and
games. You guys do sport en masse way better than we do. Way better.
Mark wins every podcast because it's usually at 9 p.m. for him, and we're all at lunchtime.
Yeah.
I
All
did
right.
the worst one I ever did. I was in Dubai. It was midnight, and I was out with my boss, and we've been working. And we were in a cocktail bar, and I ran to the room to recorded, and then ran back to the bar to make sure he hadn't disappeared into the night. And it wasn't that lucid, to be honest.
Oh God. Kat, go. I want Kat to win. She is my favorite person.
Yay!
But for parody, I'm gonna pick someone else.
Oh, see, we're all doing this.
Just say what you
Okay,
think.
fine.
Just
Okay,
say what
fine.
you think.
I think Kat Matthews is gonna win.
You.
Kat Matthews is gonna win. I think Daniela's gonna get second because she's the best second half biker in Ironman history.
Unbelievable.
And the third place, I'm gonna go with Sky Launch. And then dark horse, Joanna Ryder.
Nice.
That's a proper dark horse, man. Not Sam Long and Daniel Robbins. And what Kyle alluded to there, if you've never looked it up, look at Daniela Rice's back half bike split in Kona 2018. Like, there were
For
only a
like
handful.
3 years because she
Oh,
let
my
Lucy
God.
dangle out like a carrot. Every year, Lucy would be 4-time world champion.
I think there were 11 men that rode the back half faster than she did in 2018. 3 men in 2018. It was like Hamworth, Boris Stein, ridiculous. Yeah, let's hope she doesn't do that this week. Chelsea.
You have it memorized.
Yep.
You need this.
No, I'm gonna go with Kat.
Yay!
And Heather Jackson.
You have a dark horse.
No, I don't really know anyone else.
Jordan, you want to give her a dark horse?
Yeah, please.
Jordan Blanco is in the room. Jordan is our best feedback in terms of, we get quite a lot of
Oh, we
feedback.
have customers like that, Jordan.
Yeah, we get quite a lot of feedback, but it's like Jordan she's read the handbook on how to deliver bad news. It's like maintain constructive positivity.
Criticism sandwich.
But it's all
Exactly.
correct.
Yeah,
We're
Jordan,
off to
dark
Japan.
horse.
I think Heather could be on for a good race.
Heather Jackson for the dark horse from Jordan Blanco.
There you
knows
go,
a lot
Chelsea.
about the sport.
You want to give us
Heather
your podium?
is on my podium and my dark horse. Yeah.
Daniela for the win.
Daniela for the win, we have from Jordan Blanco.
Kat for second and Anne third.
Kat second and third. Heather
Heather
Jackson.
Jackson, dark horse.
It's a very solid
Yeah.
top.
You want the men's? You want to give us your men's picks?
I forgot what I came up with last night.
Yours change every day like me.
I had Gustav for the win.
Good stuff
Mine was
winning.
the second, and Sebi is a.
Lionel second.
Big hearted.
Yeah.
So
And my
dark
dark
horse.
horse is Kyle Smith.
Oh.
Yeah, classmate is a great dark horse. One thing that's really obvious is it's much harder to pick the men than the women.
There are more men than women.
I mean, there are twice men, but we've all got the same top
8 to
three.
10 men could likely win the race.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, easily.
I'd love to know what Mikhail thinks the podium will be.
McCall Eden.
Mikhail, what's the podium going to be?
For the men's.
Men's.
Lionel.
No, Lionel. He sucked off his own brother for doing it.
Wow.
Then we do. I think Daniel is in good shape.
Daniel, yeah. Daniel
And
Butler.
one of the Norwegians.
And then one of the Norwegians.
There we go.
I like it.
You have a dark horse. The other Norwegian.
Yes.
Sam Long seems in good shape. I saw Sam running actually off the bottom of Snow Canyon a couple of days ago, and he talked about the whole being hit by a car, but he seemed in like really good spirits. He's got a bit of a bruised bone on his hip, he says, but he looked free. He looked like he was running well, so I really hope Sam bounces back from that.
A few things I want to chat about before we, I guess, close out. First off, just want to tip the hats to all the pros that made it to the freaking start list. I mean, we've never seen anything like this before.
I have theories on why this is.
I'll wait until they're on the beach before I say it.
Have you got theories as to why this attrition rate? Like, what do you reckon?
Yeah, of course. I think, could you just read that email? I wish you could.
I'll find
okay,
it.
Okay, so
I think what it is is it's an early season race. There's not that many people that can be on form in an early season race.
It doesn't matter. Like sometimes the Olympics are in January, like, or
It's
World
the
Championships
first
in January.
World Championships in a few years.
937 days.
So I think it's the pressure and forgetting this notion that we haven't had a world champs in 930 days. I think things have changed in that 930 days. Like the pressure of social media and YouTube, etc., has got higher. Like the visibility of what other athletes are portraying they're doing is apparent. I see it at home. You look constantly, you're being reminded this athlete's doing this, they're this lean, they're doing this many hours. Why aren't I doing this? And then coaches, there's a glut of coaches, and Kai will tell you, you can pay someone that's not got a clue $500 a month easy, and they're all trying to sell you a USP. So there's so many athletes doing these crazy sessions and different things, and just because the pressure's so high. So yeah, like there's injuries and there's illness, but like you can make yourself vulnerable to those negative outcomes by changing what we're doing. I think that's a part of it. And then there's a natural wastage, isn't that? Like when you were racing every year, people.
Yeah, it's always a race of attrition to get to the start line, and you need to be sturdy and strong. And yeah, as you were saying, just not always give a crap about what everyone else is doing, because for the past 2.5 years, everyone's only watched everyone else. They haven't actually been there fighting on the start line until last year. And so people are trying new things, probably a little bit too much.
Yeah, I think it's a real shame. But it's not that surprising. But I also think that I don't think Kona will be any better, by the way. Don't sit there and wait to see the great showdown in Kona, because this is a massive chance that people peak for. The first Kona will be what, 1,100 days or 1,100 days? My maths is terrible. Like, there's going to be huge pressure for that, and the attrition rate will be the same again. Like, I don't think we can wait to crown the genuine champion in Kona, because I think you'll see the same sort of field. I think in the men's, this is the best field we've ever seen at an Ironman World Champs.
100%.
Even still now.
100%.
And I think the women is it's a weak women's field. We've got every Kona champion since 2014 here racing. And we're talking about a weak field, like that's a blessing. So yeah, I think it's great.
And something else that has changed is the PTO has come along and given us a little bit more information as far as rankings and things like that, things we haven't had access to since the last World Championship.
We've actually got Charles Adamo in the room.
In the house.
I know, which many of you that followed the podcast for a while would think he was here to hit us or something, but no, yeah, he's super positive about the Ironman World Champs, and he made a great point, right, about the rankings and why there will be huge points on Saturday. Because people turn up on their best possible form and they perform at their absolute best possible. It's not who they're racing, it's how fast they physically go on that performance, which is why there's likely to be a new world women's number one, and how Danielle Rife and feasibly Kat can overtake Laura with a performance that's exceptional on this course, because they get that 10% PTO point bonus for their best Ironman race of the year.
Yeah.
So you'll see it's not possible in the men's, it doesn't really work maths, but you'll probably see a new women's PTO world number one.
And Mark, if you look over your back left shoulder, you have Thorsten right there too.
Man, try race.
Man in charge of the points.
And we've never said a word bad about the point system, have we?
No, never.
Never. It's a bit late to start that now. Apparently it's too late to start being nice now.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that, another thing that I remember going down to the Winter Republic booth and chatting with Luke and looking at him, and I was like, Luke, I think this might sound crazy, but I enjoy it. I think I might be enjoying it here more than I do in Kona. It might sound insane just because of the vibes in Kona, but I almost feel like that the sport maybe has outgrown to a capacity size Kona. It might be too big.
I completely agree. Like it doesn't have that Pilaning Drive vibe. You know, you're running up and down the same street. Those of you who've been lucky to go, it's like Mecca for triathlon. But the accommodation's half the price here. You can fit 3 times as many people in here. The drinking culture lacks a little bit, I grant you, but we're in Northern
Mark was
country,
upset when he got here.
I mean, the barman here swept me away all night. But you're doing your part. But,
Solid beers here at the Zion Brewery.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think this is a great venue. A great venue.
I mean, incredible. Yeah.
And the statue's sweet, by the way, on the ramp.
Oh yeah. And not that. Oh, I guess Kona. I don't know. I think it's like a mixed emotions. I think half the community embraces Ironman, the other half is kind of like, why are you here on our island? To be rightfully so. I mean, it's their island, but yeah. It's and then when you get in the car and you drive out there, for the people that aren't here, when you see this bike course, you're like, wow. And when you go out on this run course, you're like, this is a world championship course.
So much better, this bike course. So much better.
Yeah.
The highway in Kona is boring as sin, and it's not challenging really. There's about half because it's the only hill on the course. It's like 4%. This is way better.
Yeah.
Caden Leota just texted us, Chris Leota's son, and Matt Leota's nephew. He said, tell Talbot to frick off.
He lives on the big island. That's why he's mad. He wants us to continue to go back, which I do love it. But what are your thoughts on moving?
I love the race in Kona, and I think it's really hard too. But it's awesome to see a world championship somewhere else. I think it's really cool, and it makes it. I'm excited to see if it's different than we expect. I don't know. It's a world championship, and anyone who says that it's not, it's just silly. Like this, every other sport, you know, they change places, they change locations, and it's time to see what happens somewhere off that island.
Talbot, you hear a lot more whispers than we do. Is there a world where they do the World Championships in Kona in October and then they reassess and they go, you know, St. George, they opened up their arms to us, they made it really easy. We talked about the logistics component that is much easier to get here. There's vendors
If
that
you're American.
Thank you, Mark, sorry. But even if it was in mainland Europe, right? I mean, this race would be easier if it was in Germany versus Kona.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I think, is there a world where they explore moving it and changing it around?
I mean, I'm not in any way to speak for anyone.
With the whispers, you're good at hearing
Yes,
whispers.
I chatted yesterday for a second with Matthew, I believe the CFO at Ironman, and also Andrew, and we chatted about this very thing. This is something that they wouldn't care if I was in there and say, would be extremely hard to take a world championship out of Kona. And that's because of the majority of people that make Ironman, and that is the amateur athletes. They are all gunning for one thing, and that is to ride up and down the Queen K.
Yeah.
And that would be the hardest thing. As much as a financial thing, it might be more beneficial, I think, long-term, to take that away from the people that you go ask anyone. I mean, I think that Triathlon Mockery podcast, super funny podcast, videos, also, they went down to Vegas and someone on their video said, Ironman isn't that in Hawaii? I mean, people that don't even know about this sport, they think that there's only one triathlon and it's in Hawaii. So I think it would be extremely hard for Ironman to take it out of Hawaii.
I mean, they had trouble filling this race for age groupers.
Yeah.
So I think that was their sign of like, oh, it may not be that easy to move. I think Ironman would love to move it around, but I think the pros, they're going to race a world championship wherever the world championship is. But for amateurs, it's different. Kona holds a lot of meetings. So
Completely agree. And there's the USP thing I said about with the PTO. Charles, they're holding Ironman to account. Like they're making Ironman work for their money. Like they're putting on great coverage. They're putting on great events. They're putting on their own events now. The thing Ironman has over the PTO, let's just say they're rivals, they're not quite, is Kona at the moment. It's the mecca of triathlon. And if they lose that unique selling point, then they're vulnerable to being substituted by everyone else. Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how to watch this race on Saturday?
Yeah.
What's going to be the viewing protocol?
Ironman Live on Facebook.
Ironman Now on Facebook.
Ironman Now.
Ironman Now.
Yeah.
And before
Scooters, e-bikes, yeah.
Scooters,
We got
e-bikes.
We got some e-bikes.
Yeah.
So
And Germany broadcast live on TV. Like there's
Cool.
German
Very cool.
broadcast as well. They've had it for many years now.
Before we close out, I just want to give a massive thank you and congratulations to Kyle. Without Kyle, I don't think that none of us would be here. I teased with him. Kyle started, what was that video game you were playing a lot?
Formula One?
You hit some ball into a goal or something like that. It's not
Oh, Rocket League.
Rocket League. I'd come home every day and Kyle's playing Rocket League. During COVID, you know, we all pick up these weird habits. Kyle's playing Rocket League like every day, and I was like, God, you got to do something. And we've always tried to get him into the immediate pass somehow so he could get closer to the pros. And Kyle came up with the idea of starting the Pro Tri News podcast. And some people think that I have any affiliation with it. I literally do nothing. I get on the Skype once a week, and all these people tell me I'm an idiot. So hats off to Kyle. Literally, he edits all this. He did the logo. He's put all this together. So I don't think without Kyle, me and Pat, we're all just chatting, and then we're like, wow, we need someone who knows what they're talking about. So we added Mark, and then Chelsea. We saw her at the pool. She's like, you guys don't know what you're talking about at all. So we brought Chelsea on, and it's just grown. So hats off to Kyle for starting this. Hopefully, it's given everyone a more of an inside look into the professional athlete realm. And yeah, definitely hats off, Kyle.
Thanks, appreciate it. I just want to give a thanks to everyone that's here. We had no idea how many people would come. We were down in like a little smaller room, and Talbot comes in. He's like, I'm kind of concerned. Like, I don't think 17 people is enough to fit in this small space.
I honestly thought we'd be in an empty room.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I thought we'd be in an empty room.
So I appreciate everyone being here. It means a whole lot to us. There's definitely some challenging points over the last year of doing the podcast. So this is really rewarding. I appreciate it. So thanks for tuning in.
And most importantly, I want to thank Beth and Luke. Seriously, I mean, we wouldn't even have done anything here if it wasn't for them. So massive thank you to them. And it would mean so much if you guys can swing by their booth. Gustav Eden won 70.3 World Championship here wearing just a race belt with their
Just go get a Winter Republic trucker hat. Be like,
yeah.
Also, last weekend, not sponsored by us, but Tim Burkle won Ironman Australia in the wind race belt. Jocelyn McCauley just had a win in the wind race belt, so our $10 special will do you well.
Yes, and maybe we could get like a short time discount code for everyone watching at home
But
online.
just toss in a $300 tri-suit. And then
Yeah, toss to that. Maybe we can get we'll post some short discount code for everyone watching at home. And before we close, massive thank you to Chelsea. She made her way all the way here to sit over here and be in support of us.
Chelsea's the reason I continue to listen to your podcast, so thank you for having her.
And don't worry, we'll be back in a few days after this situation dies down, and we want to talk about World Triathlon Series, which will be starting soon, which hopefully you're also excited.
Draft legal. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for coming out, and we'll see you on the other side, and we'll do a post-race show, I'm sure, as well. So we'll keep you posted. Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.